Welcome, welcome, welcome to It Takes a Village Season 2, where we shine a spotlight on the people who make our games. Joining us today, Adrian Townsend. He is a freelance voice and casting director working in commercials, animation, and the games industry. Adrian started his first directing gig on Larian's epic Divinity Original Sin 2 back in 2017 and has gone on to direct over 45 games, including hit titles Beyond a Steel Sky, Zombieland Headshot Fever, Jagged Alliance 3, Dead Island 2, Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2, and multi-award-winning Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3. As well as his work as a voice director, Adrian also works as a sound engineer, designer, and mixer, having worked on podcasts, audio dramas, commercials, television programs, and award-winning budget feature films before games became the main focus of his career. Adrian is currently working on 2 exciting projects due for release in 2026 that he can't say a word about. Welcome to the village, Adrian. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Really good, thanks. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for coming. It's our pleasure. The pleasure is ours. So we're just going to go straight into it. There's so much to cover. You are super multidisciplinary in your field. So
I mean, yeah, I didn't realize until you read the bio how many things I do. Goodness.
I mean, you wrote it, so I was hoping you did.
Just going through the list, but just hearing it out loud.
It's strange hearing those things back, isn't it?
Yeah.
But hopefully very heartwarming. You've carved out quite the career for yourself so far. So let's start at the start. Origins, the origin story of Adrian Townsend. What was childhood like? Was audio games, was that a thing for you growing up, or did that come in later?
Yeah, for like games especially. I remember when I was young, my dad bought an old Commodore 64 where you had to put in a cassette and wait 30 minutes for the game to load up and then hope it didn't crash after a few seconds. And yeah, there's always been computer games of some sort in the house. My dad loved playing them, and I used to, when I was too young, love watching them until I was able to actually play myself. But yeah, I had kind of got games consoles all the way. Mega Drive, used to love playing like Fantastic Dizzy and Sonic the Hedgehog and things. And yeah, moving up through the PlayStations, basically, 1, 2, and then sidestepped into an Xbox 360 for a bit. When
it has to be tried.
And, yeah, it's just one of those where it just had better games that generation, and but yeah, no, games have always been kind of there in the family, and always enjoyed playing, watching my dad play games that were just a bit too old for me, things like Medal of Honor, and then became Call of Duty, and it was when I realized I was old enough to go, no, you need to go over that way, and I was like, let me play, let me take it.
Just give it to me, Dad. Yeah. So did you have a favorite genre of games or favorite game series?
I mean, I've always been a huge fan of like tycoon games. So Roller Coaster Tycoon, Transport Tycoon being one of my favorites. I'm just an entrepreneur at heart. If only it was real money.
I know.
Yeah.
And surely someone's doing this for esports money, right? Like dollar for dollar.
God,
Can you imagine earning that? That'd be incredible. I'm learning new things about you. So where does audio come in? Was that a little later on?
Yeah. So from a young age, my family, my parents always wanted me to play guitar. My dad was in a band when he was young. He was one of the original members in Dr. Feelgood.
No way!
Yeah.
You can't just drop that. What did he play? Guitar then?
He was the bassist.
He's a bassist? Wow!
One of the original members in Dr. Feelgood, and then basically just as they were kind of breaking, he decided he wasn't such a fan of the music that was starting to create with some of the new members, and he left the band.
Okay.
And I remember I was going to, when the O2, the Millennium Dome, had like the British Music Experience in there, which was a wonderful exhibition of like British music from all the 20th century and 19th century. And as I was just browsing through, just saw a picture of my dad as one of the original lineup pictures. I was like, oh my God. Because I always knew he was a member of the band, but I didn't really know much about Dr. Feelgood growing up. And then when I kind of saw that, I was like, oh, wow, okay, hang on.
Were you able to let him know about it?
Yeah.
How did he
I kind
react?
of pointed out, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I was in that band for a few years. Nothing, no
Yeah,
biggie."
it's just, remembered in history for, yeah. Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I've always played guitar, and then got into production and things like that. Got into bands at school, and then yeah, went on to do songwriting and production at university.
Okay, so it started,
Um,
in a way, it started by, I guess, recording and producing your own music. That's where we begin. Because I'm trying to
yeah,
work out what
absolutely. Yeah.
order these roles were required, because there's so many of them, and
I
they're
mean,
covering all media.
technically, I came into games at the very last minute.
Yeah.
I worked hard on the production side of things, and performing in music, which I just loved so much. And I went to university to study music technology, the recording, composition, and performance of music. And when I got there, I was just like, oh wow, some of these guys are so good. Like they're brilliant composers. They're better than me. Like I was good, but they were just another level. Same with performing and things like that. And to the point where I actually took a year out just to do work experience and like say, okay, right, I want to work in the music industry, sound, audio. Let's just do a bunch of work experience for like 2 weeks, different places, and see what sticks. And I had a really great time doing work experience in Excel recordings, which is Radiohead's time
The record
publisher,
label. Yeah.
record label.
Yeah.
Did a little bit of work experience at MTV, QVC, experimenting in the like TV side of stuff, and really enjoyed it. Like it's so much fun being on a set.
Yeah.
But nothing really stuck.
I was going to say, what
time.
stuck? what stuck out?
I went to do my final year at university, and I just had one module, which was sound for TV and film, which was a little bit of like how the composition, the music affects your mood and things like that in films and TV, and Foley and sound design. And I was like, that is what I want to do. And so as soon as I graduated, that's what I tried to pursue a career in as much as possible.
So you did.
Thankfully,
you did.
yeah.
So was it, I'm trying to work out the order of things. Was it audio drama next, or what happened next once you graduated? What were the first jobs like?
Yeah, it was a mix of kind of music recording. I managed to get a few kind of short-term gigs recording in different studios around London, and then managed to grab a job, working as a dog's body sound effects editor, if you like, for a company on different animations, which was so much fun.
Yeah, I bet.
And yeah, spent about a year doing that, I guess, before then finding my way into localization, strangely, engineering and recording voice in different languages.
And it's also like colloquialisms, it's dialect as well. There's a lot. It's not just a straight up translation. I'm just trying to think of the audience we have who might not know what localization really involves. Can you go into that a little bit more?
A company would come to us and say, great, we've got this advert, this animation, whatever it might be, usually short form, so not too long in length like you would a film. And like, we've got this in American English, and we want it the voiceovers re-recorded in British English, Spanish, French, German, Latin American, Spanish, Portuguese, and then we would cast that and record it, sync things up as well, because languages are very different lengths. Saying something in English, which is quite a succinct language, has a very different length to say German, which is much more elongated. And Spanish still, Spanish is very wordy, but the way their language works, they're actually able to speak very quickly to get things to fit in for us. And yeah, I worked in localization for quite a few years. Really just had such a great team that I worked with. And it was so interesting working with so many different actors at the time and voiceover artists that I really fell in love with that. And it's from there I then found a job in games. I started recording as a freelancer for Pit Stop Productions. which is then how I got into games and voice direction, quite simply. Yeah.
Amazing. What have been, I guess, career highlights from the game side of things, would you say?
The games side of things. Oh, wow.
Because you've got 45 of them under your belt.
Yeah. I kind of went through the list because I've just got them all noted down in a spreadsheet, and I was like, God, some of these were great. Some of them I just about remember doing, just because the length we work on some games. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's years.
Yep.
It varies so much. But I guess, working on my first game, Divinity Original Sin 2, which was Larian, with Pit Stop Productions, it was such a baptism of fire to work on. Working with Josh Whedon in the studios at the time, it was so much fun and just so much learning on the job as well, because I'd worked with actors and voiceover artists for so long, but communicating and directing in that sort of way is a different language entirely. A lot of the way my brain thinks sometimes is more musically. So I'd be what I'd now refer to as directors, more technical aspects, thinking, okay, happy here, maybe with a downward inflection at the end and things. I'd be thinking of the musicality of the voice. And I had to learn very quickly how to speak to actors and speak their language, which is surprisingly different to get your point across. Yeah.
And I assume we all speak different dialects as actors. One actor might refer to that musicality better than someone else might want something physical to think about, for example.
Very much so.
And then your job is working out what works, what's going to get the best in, which is why I respect your job so much.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
People really treat directing as if you just tell the actor how to say it, which please don't do that.
Oh goodness, no. Giving someone a line read, it's almost sacrilege.
I get to the point that if there's like a line I'm stuck on, I will demand one. Like if it's the third time, I'm like, look, clearly I don't understand the inflection, just because it'll be a couple of words. We're not talking a big monologue or anything. But sometimes you get quite frustrated with yourself and go, it's just, the word is the door is locked. Just tell me you want me to say the door is locked and we'll move on. That's really cool. I'm just thinking about the sort of going from something like Divinity Original Sin all the way to Baldur's Gate 3, and then the mocap comes into it, and then you've got to work with, extra bodies. You've got the mocap engineers and the movement, the performance directors as well as the voice directors. So that's a whole other way of working. I just wanted to flag up at this point that when we first met, I think before we even worked together, we bumped into each other at Pit Stop, and you gave me a Magic the Gathering card with Karlach on it. And said, this is your character. The first thing was like, cool. But like, it was also like, she was already established as part of, D&D. And it was just magic seeing her. She's about, this big. And I put her in a frame above my wall, above my TV in my bedroom. And like, she lived with me the whole time until I saw the model of Karlach near the end of production. Like, that's what I had. And it's Billy Christian picture. And she's swinging the axe and she looks so gleeful. She's so in a happy place. It was really helpful going in. So thank you for that. It was such a big deal.
Because I think I started working with you. Because when you first started, there was one iteration of Karlach, wasn't there? There was originally a direction the character was going, and it changed slightly. She
changed quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of when I was brought in around that time to work with you. And I remember because like with the Magic the Gathering cards, I had been working since we started dialogue recording for it, basically. And working with movement as well was something completely new. It's something working with this whole team. It was great to learn kind of the individual jobs that the performance director was working on, and you've got the mocap engineers, sound engineers, and myself. And although the voice directors driving the ship to a degree, it's just such a collaboration between everyone in the room, and with so many elements as well. So I'm kind of reading the script. I'm trying to read ahead as much as possible for the scene as well as reading notes on the scene itself that the writer might have given me, and on the line itself. I always just said to everyone in the room, like we're all spinning many plates at the moment. I'm not proud, particularly proud of like everything needs to come through me regarding like direction and things like that. If someone's got an idea, just let it know. Let's try it. Let's workshop. Let's have fun in the studio. And yeah, I really tried to build just a collaborative environment in the studio with everyone. And because we're working with so much physicality as well, I found that my style of direction evolved as well so much. I remember I was working with Aliona, one of the performance directors in the studio, and I can't remember who the actor was, but we'd just done a few takes, and I was just struggling to get the take I wanted, that I'd envisioned for these particular lines. And I'd kind of like tried several different ways to describe it. And then Aliona just said, just do this physically for us on the line. And that is just what unlocked it for the actor. And I was like, I see.
I think that's important as well. Yeah. If you're just doing voice work, what people would call voice acting, you can make any shape it takes to get that noise out of your face. But with a fully mocap character, it has to be faithful to the character. So then you can't do that anymore. So that's really interesting. It becomes more like stage movement direction, because that is gesture. And that is, for me, I used Larian movements. So the one word that would have worked with me is pressing, just for the physical side, maybe not the vocal side, but that was just to stop me flapping around with this huge physical model I was inhabiting. But yeah, no, you did create a really happy collaborative environment. I remember, because I was doing evenings and weekends for most of it, and it was so joyful coming into it. And then we'd have dinner afterwards and actually get to know each other a little bit more. And it was just, it was delightful. I really enjoyed it. I felt part of the team. And we were playing together. We really were. And it was I just have such happy memories about it. So it sparks the question: what have you said you like? You know, it sort of changed you in terms of the way you direct. What have you taken with you? Because you've obviously done things since then.
Yeah, definitely. Just focusing a lot more and expanding my vocabulary with physicality, as well as exploring the subtext more as well of the lines. Working with mocap, we were actually able to work just a lot slower than you would with voice only, because there's just so many technical aspects as well as the movement to consider in the sessions, which just allowed me to just slow down the process a little bit. I wasn't worried about rushing through 120 lines an hour. We could knock it down to a much more manageable level and just take our times considering, especially while other people are squirreling around doing jobs, sorting out markers and things like that. It just gave me such an opportunity to really read through scripts and just add teeth as well for you to into the script.
Good job.
Because video games is different to other acting mediums as well. It's not quite the same as TV and film, where you'd get the script and you can make decisions on your character.
You can change the line if it doesn't work.
And it's manageable mounts.
Yeah.
Whereas now with video games, it's you'll get the script a couple of days beforehand, and there's hundreds of lines. There's different iterations depending on if the player said yes, no, or if they're holding a certain item in their pocket.
That's very true.
All the different possible iterations that
I think
helped us explore.
That's interesting what you said there, because you talk about subtext as well, and the sort of games I played growing up had very little to none. And as the demands of good narrative keep evolving, I think there's more room to play with that as well. I think that's just a wonderful thing going forward too. You know, I just think it's an incredible time to be, I guess, at the front edge of games coming out, because the audiences love story. I mean, I meet people all the time who don't really play Baldur's Gate 3 for the mechanics and stuff. They are getting to the next story point. You know, they really want to see what happens next. Mainly who they can romance, fine. It's a very elaborate indie dating simulator, it really is. But it's interesting to see, because some people, you know, it's their D&D game digital, you know, and it replaces, if you can't get that group together, it's a great way to play solo. Of course, you can play couch co-op. I've met 3 generations of family that play together. You know, there's varieties. But what keeps coming across is narrative. People played it for that story, and ourselves and the devs and the writers were all part of that. And it's just just a really privileged position to be in because it's clearly influencing games going forward, which is great for us because it's more work.
Yeah.
But do go on about how, because people see games as very audio adjacent. What would you say are the main differences? Because I'm thinking about there's directors coming through from audio dramas. What do they need to know?
I mean, it's such a different world in games compared to some other mediums. From audio dramas, again, like it's not always a set script. You're getting that script at the last minute, and you're quickly trying to work out the character and how they're going to react to different moments. And it's always great to be able to talk to the writer in advance, which is. It happens sometimes, but it sometimes feels like a real luxury to be able to pin them down quickly to ask questions about the script. I've always found working with games, it's much more reactive, especially with how we're going through lines together. So when we've worked together on a few games now, sometimes it will just be a case of working our way through just line by line. Okay, this is how you're going to react. And I'm trying to be as succinct as possible, giving you just enough information to deliver this line, maybe these handful of lines. And on occasion, we'll get the chance to really just kind of play a scene, which will be only a handful of lines, might be 5, 6, 7, or 8. But ultimately, it's kind of you try and break things down as much as possible. Whereas I guess for audio dramas, when I worked with those, the actor comes in with a much stronger idea of what they've decided. Through workshopping together as well, they've kind of get the character down, and then you're just going to run through. You might play the lines once or twice, and ultimately you're just going to kind of shoot on to the next thing. Yeah, does that kind of answer your question?
It does actually, yeah. Because I was just thinking about myself because I was doing so much Big Finish. So I was playing tough chicks in space. I was doing a lot of sci-fi, a bit of fantasy, but it felt so adjacent to games. But the difference being, and I guess it's closer to a micro indie, but you know, you never get the full script, right? You couldn't possibly pass it all. You'll get all your lines, which traditionally is what a selfish actor does, just finds all their own lines. So I was saying in another interview with an actor the other day that the one tip I'd give for an actor, apart from doing who, what, why, when, is find out what other people say about your character. For me, that's the most important thing in a way, because that can be the subtext. That can be something you're not very aware that you do as a character, but it can absolutely underpin your whole character. So for Thomasina, she's a massive snob. She doesn't know that, but everyone says it about her. So you go, okay, so she looks down on these, and that's a great contrast with, oh, I'm terribly friendly and I'm here to steal all your treasure for the empire, you know, that sort of thing. But really, she looks down on them, and I could imbue it with that. And so she's not just a complete victim in the game. She's caused she's brought a lot of the trouble on herself by being very quick to dismiss other people that she happens to look down on. So that was really helpful. Unfortunately, in a AAA, unlikely I'm going to get that information unless someone has it out with me in a scene or something like that, you know, or you're a tiny character. But it's so nice to know where you fit in. And again, going back to Baldur's Gate 3, because you guys had a lot of the time done the same scenes maybe some time ago with the other main actors. You know, I remember Kirsty's brain was something else. She'd go, oh, that's the Underdark. We did this with the star and blah, blah, blah. This is what happens. And you were all doing that by the end. Like you could all, it was Mind Palace stuff. It was a choose your own adventure book. You know, it really was something how that was crystallized in your minds. So yeah, that makes it very different from audio dramas, but then that's also an extreme example. But yeah, I think it's impossible for me. I'd never get the full script. I'd never really understand what the game is until it comes out. So I always want to know at least genre. A game title's really going to help me, but a genre is the biggest one for me because it helps me pitch energy and how domestic versus operatic it's going to be. You know, that really, really helps. And you still get Game Sisto won't tell you, and then you see the game and you go, oh, if I'd known, I would have done something completely different. So, but and I've talked about a lot from the actor side, but from a director side, I was wondering if there is like a little tick sheet of things that you need. So you've mentioned maybe a conversation with the writers or the devs beforehand. I imagine you want to see as much script as possible, even if some of it is placeholder text. Do you need stuff in order?
Yeah,
Do you need like a Bible? I've been given a Bible before. That's a lot to read, but I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, as much and every bit of information they can possibly give.
Artwork
like,
as well, I haven't mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there'll always be a talk with producers beforehand, maybe one of the writers is in the room as well, as they just kind of introduce me to a project, which is always so valuable. But and I always ask for them, like, just I need give me the master story doc. Just tell me what happens at the start, what happens in the middle,
sheet,
and
anything.
what happens at the end.
Yeah.
And I need kind of the elevator pitch version and then the master story doc as much as possible. Like, give me the details, the nuance, the character development. And it's sometimes they've got kind of a beautifully succinct document to give me, which will be a few pages. And sometimes it's just dropping a Bible on my desk. I was like, okay, I'll start reading.
Tonight's work. Yeah. I'm lucky that I get, the elevator pitch I find very useful, actually. That just some, because my brain will give me some visuals and that helps me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when it comes to, bringing the actor into the studio, I'll then translate that elevator pitch and give them the information they need, kind of the wider scope of the game, the tone, the themes, and then kind of bring it down to their character and how they are portrayed in this game and what we're looking to bring with this character, how it's going to affect the player, and how the character is going to come across, what we want to achieve from the performance, and what the character themselves wants to achieve in the game. And trying to get anything as possible, trying to get visuals where possible. Just having a picture of a character can really help influence what they're going to sound like, how they're going to perform between me and the actor as we're brainstorming for. I mean, in reality, we'll probably get about 10 or 15 minutes at the start of the first session as we go through the character brief. We'll experiment with voice, tone, timbre, attitudes, and then kind of take off. And then somewhere in the different hours of the sessions, it could be just 1 hour that I'm with an actor for, or it might be the best part of several days, a week, like 4 3-hour sessions as we go. In which case, then we find a nice equilibrium, and then the actor kind of breathes the character more, and you become more relaxed, and you can tell when an actor just kind of takes on a role so well, and they just react like the character as well, without having to think about it. Which means all I'm doing is saying, "Oh, this is happening," and then they'll give a fantastic performance without me having to tell them how they should react to something.
It's nice having a wingman in the room as well.
God, massively.
It's it's something players seem to be very surprised how little time we spend in the studio when it's straight audio. They're really surprised, and you have to explain that time is money. We do not have time in the studio to discuss. We don't have time to workshop. We're going to try and make some logical choices with some creativity thrown in to get this character down. And the image I'm starting to use is like being like a session musician, in that all the work has happened outside of the room, and then you come in ready to rock. And of course, again, if you have the sheet music in advance, that's going to help you knock it out in 1 or 2 takes versus, just trying to find it. But there's always going to be that bit at the beginning where you're trying to work out how you fit in and where that sits. And I think it's a good analogy, and I just thought I'd offer it, seeing as you're a musician.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Just if it's one of those things where, like, as much as possible, you'll have the character description, the script in advance, that so you would be able to read through it, make some decisions, and then come to the studio with some ideas, and then would kind of workshop the first few lines, and then we'll find something in the middle usually. Like, I would have read through the character description, hopefully had a briefing from the writer themselves, and think, right, I know what I want from the character. And then you'll come in with a slightly different idea, and actually I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. That's cool. I like it. Let's do it.
It's a wonderful relationship, because it does. It's always that back and forth, and it's that playing together and discovering together, and it's really quite joyful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like, especially on projects I've been working on recently, being able to play with actors like that, working on different scenes and slightly different characters has been so much fun as well. There's been Yeah. Sorry. Just thinking like, I want to give an example, but I can't at the moment because it doesn't come out until next year.
Everything needs to come out before GTA 6. Please, for the love of God. If you want people to play your game, it needs to come out. Because I've lived through this. I know what happens when a game takes over for years, okay? That's all I'm saying. So please, 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 game developer gods, can you bring your games out? Q1.
I just think there's gonna be a lot of games coming out in February, March before
I'm
finally
currently,
is it May that GTA 6 comes out?
I'm currently sitting on 6 titles. Most of them are coming out before that. So it'll be in the same week, I imagine. We'll go, here you go.
Suddenly your socials are going crazy.
Yeah, or not. You know, people have, you release at the wrong time and then it's completely missed. I don't know what's going to happen, but here you go. That's games industry. So we've talked a lot about, I guess, the really getting to the nitty gritty of working together in the room. We see each other at socials. How important is that being social and meeting people? Well, not only you work with that you could work with, but people in the same industry. How important is that to you?
I mean, in the last year or two, I've realized just how important they are. Just for me as well, because as a freelancer, I'm working in different studios and working with different teams all the time. And like with the actors especially, I work with semi-regularly. I'm meeting you in the studios, but ultimately it's for an hour chunk, and there'll be like hellos
as
in the
we've
middle,
established, 10 minutes to do the character and then go.
Hellos at the start, some conversations in the middle, and then goodbye at the end. But there's no chance to just relax and chat properly. So actually being able to talk to you, other actors, other directors as well, has been just priceless. Really, it's been so. Yeah, I loved being able to talk to different people at socials and just get to know them properly. And then building that rapport with people when it does come back to the studio means that you can kind of catch up, ask how their family are, and you just know better how each other tick, and you can just hit ground running, which I found it's absolutely priceless.
It's cool. I love our socials.
How do you find it with so many people at socials?
It's difficult because as you go to more and more, you start to know everyone, you know. So there's a lot of I'll see you later, and you don't. Or there's, if I'm on it, I'll go, we should do proper dinner and we set something in the calendar, because if it's not set in the calendar, it's not going to happen. So that it now becomes an exercise for administration and diary management. But that's the thing. It is nice, you know, and there's always new people. You welcome them in. You never know, you might be able to hook someone up with a job, because there'll be a composer saying, you know, they specialize in something really rare maybe, and you'll go, oh, my friend was looking for, you know, it's what I love is this sort of flat hierarchy, certainly in the UK scene, which is what I know. It's wonderfully refreshing to see that we all at sort of same level, that we all know each other, attending the BAFTAs and looking around the room, and I know half the people as mates. And we've all got there together. We are the industry. We're not looking to break in. There isn't a point where you go, oh, yes, you always were. You know, if you're working on games, you are in the industry. And I guess it's relatively young, isn't it? So, yeah, we're all around the same age as well. It's just sort of magic. And I've come from theatre, film, TV, and it ain't like this at all. It's nothing like this. It's super friendly. People just want to make cool stuff. They just want to make cool games, and they want to have fun doing it. And the community is trying to do that among themselves, especially amongst, you know, endless layoffs, acquisitions, all the nonsense that goes outside. And those people don't come to these. So it's just us looking out for each other. And this show is about that. That's why it's called It Takes a Village. So the next question is to you. Who is in your village? Who supports you?
I mean, there's been, a good few people that have really helped me kind of develop. And as a freelancer, survive, it feels, as well. So see what, going back to kind of one of your earlier questions, the person that kind of introduced me to post-production, one of my old tutors at university, Eddie Dobson, they just I felt they were so inspirational, the way the passion they showed for post-production. And when I was also just kind of looking to bounce off of them so much and found a love for this module, which I noticed a few of the other people who were on the course, they wanted to do music. They weren't interested in doing TV and film sound effects and things. It was just a distraction almost. And I just felt like Eddie really helped me out, took me under their wing, and it just helped me progress slightly, just looking for the attention to detail, the little the next 10% on how to really improve your work and get noticed, and just the levels of detail that you had to go to, which introduced me beautifully when I actually got into the industry, knowing what I need to do to then progress. So yeah, Eddie Dobson was just instrumental on kind of pushing me in this kind of direction. And my work as a freelancer, working in TV and film, which then introduced me to games as well. And then I guess more recently, Josh Sweden from Pit Stop kind of got me to turned around one day and said, "We're going to need you to voice direct." I was like, okay, all right, I'll try. And I've just never looked back. That was 8 years ago now.
Wow.
And it's now voice directing's become about 90% of my work, and I love it. Just as a creative outlet, the working with so many different people on these exciting projects, as you know, and yeah, I just, as a freelance, Josh has done so much for me in my early stages of the career, and a lot of the team at Pit Stop Productions. And I've been able to bring the knowledge that I've learnt with Josh into my modern work now. So yeah, and I wouldn't be here without him. I'm very aware.
Incredible. Yeah. I think you did some of the work yourself, Adrian. I'm going to give you that.
I mean, like I said, with Divinity, it's a baptism of fire. I learned very quickly on the job.
Yeah. I think all our first jobs were like that though, right? And if you survive and you go, actually, that was fun, I want more of it. Look at where we are years later. That's fantastic. Thanks for that. So how can someone, we've talked about being a freelancer, and I think that I would say that's the main thing we have in common, especially when I talk to composers as well. Anyone that works freelance, I think we have similar challenges and similar outlooks as well. How can someone in your role, specifically, I guess, voice directing, better advocate for themselves in this business?
If you know the answer, let me know. I'm like, at the moment, I'm trying to think of that, like how to. Myself, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to take up a few more courses, because I came from an engineering background, especially not an actor's background. So actually, at the moment, I'm trying to learn more and more, taking on director's course, working with. For this particular course, it'll be film and TV actors, but just to learn that kind of script analysis, working with actors more from that field, which is becoming more and more in games since the pandemic. More actors have moved over from TV and film working on games, which has been fantastic because they bring just, I was going to say a different style, but it's a different way of working. For them, working in games is completely new. And just to introduce them to this style, at first they're kind of a duck out of water, and then you just see them kind of get used to it and just get into the flow. And just, I don't know, it makes it easier for magic to happen sometimes. But then a lot of time I see people on social media, like posting about their wins, which is great. And I wish I was just more social media before. I always find it so embarrassing sometimes to just say, hey, I did this in the studio. And
I can put you in touch with a lady that will do that for you.
Oh.
Social media manager, you see, and you go, have that. Really? Make me sound cool. I mean, at the moment, I'm tending to post things like announcements for games. I just do work. It's work stuff. That's what I want to be known for. And that's what I put up. And if someone wants to tag me on a red carpet, sure. But, because that will go for me. Having low social media numbers as an actor across all media kind of goes against you now. You have to engage. But yeah, if you find the whole social media thing as unpleasant as I do, you can get a third party to deal with it and make you look cool, you know. And obviously you okay everything. They're not just doing it blind, but it's I that's my little recommendation for you. Pay someone else to do it.
How funny. Not a bad idea.
Yes.
But yeah, at the moment, I'm also just trying to network, just talk to people in real life and just have a conversation, not even saying, hey, let's work together on a thing. But
that's what's nice about networking over years. We've been doing this for years. So they are people we know and people we've come to feel are friends as well. Like genuinely, I have friends. There's people I'll never work for directly because they work in a completely different area, but we just get on and we're nice people. and hey, there might be a job, you know, someone is looking for a community manager and I know somebody's out of work, you know, it's just little things like that we can do for each other. And I think it's just really important to keep that going. Especially
and so
right
much
now.
comes from recommendations, talking to people, starting conversations with one person, which 2 years down the line bears fruit.
And in a way, it weeds out
it
weeds out people that are like in it for the wrong reasons, for want of a better phrase, because you have to really love games to stay in it. It takes a long time to make these connections. I mean, there was a video the other day, Tilda Swinton saying this took 8 years to make, this took 15 years to make from when I first met this person. It just does. That's the way it is. And that'll be the same for you as well. Something just popped into my head, actually. Is there a difference between actors who play games and those who don't in the room?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me. Lay it on me.
My point of reference would be completely different. How I talk to them in the studio. My direction will always be, this is what's happening. So-and-so has just done this and you react. And with someone who I know that plays video games, I can just give them the example in game, and without regurgitating something that's done 100 times, I can say, right, it's this ballpark that we're looking for, especially when it comes to emotes and things like that. You're being punched in the stomach. Go. Give me 20 of those.
Do that, and all different intensities.
Exactly. Yeah. Just everything's slightly different, and we're going to use them all. And then for people who don't play games, they just might not understand the reference. They might not get it, and it'll just take an extra few seconds, which isn't too much, but when you're dealing with hundreds of lines in the hour, it soon mounts up. It soon affects line count, speed of recording, which isn't anything that the actor should worry about. That's purely on me to look into and worry about, if at all. But it just makes the work just a little bit easier, a little bit quicker. So if you're going to work in video games, it's always going to pay dividends. Play video games. Play multiple varieties of genres. Play The Last of Us. Play a beat 'em up. Play something more story. Play Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
You can even watch people play games. It's called Let's Play. If you haven't got the money or like the time to put into games, you can watch people play genres, and I think it's really helpful. I find it wild that in film, theatre, TV, audio, the idea of going in and going, I don't know what this is, but here I am, make me look good. The idea that you go and do a Shakespeare and go, it's not really my thing, but I want the part. Is you don't get away with it. And in fact, you could find yourself being kind of semi-blacklisted. But for some reason, video games, actors get away with it. And I wonder if because people like myself have been so public about how much they love games, have we moved the bar up a bit? We should be interested in the things we do. That's all I'm going to say. I'd be dismayed if I worked with a video game director who doesn't play or refuses to play games. That would be very strange. But for actors, we get away with it. I think it's a bit naughty. Especially when they start moaning about like, oh, this is unfair or I didn't understand. Go and engage in the culture that you're part of.
But, for that video game actor that does play video games that I can work a little bit quicker with, that I know that I can probably throw a few more things at, I know that when the next project comes along and I need someone who can just become a mercenary for so many lines, like I've got a couple of names that I know I can call on to just do a job quite simply, nice and efficiently. Yeah.
Well, we're getting to the end of my questions, but I think this is particularly pertinent to you because you've got so many strings to your bow. What's a question you wish someone would ask you? I would say, as an interview or just in work or in the day-to-day? I meant just like, you must have done other interviews, you must have talked about your work, and there must be areas that people miss. Or there might be a particular title you've worked on anywhere that you're proud of and you'd like to talk about. It's an opportunity for you to shine your own light on your own stuff.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's what do you enjoy most about your work? Because then I can talk about just some of the wonderful moments you have in the studio with the team around you, whether it be the sound engineers, producers, writers, and the actors themselves. Like going back to Baldur's Gate, I remember a few moments just where I just had the time of my life. I was working with Tim Downey, who plays Gale. And there's a moment in the game which I think became a meme where he just goes, "Listen the damn thing."
It's a meme, yeah.
That was one take. That was me just going through. I was like, okay, so I decided to lick this spider. He did that line. I was like, okay, they've done it the second time. He did the line. And then and this is now the third time they've licked the spider, and Tim just having fun went, "Licking the damn thing." And we just rolled around with laughter in the studio for about 10 minutes afterwards. And it's funny listening back now, I listen to it, I'm like, he didn't say the line properly. It was all swallowed and garbled, but it's just so funny. And it's that so spontaneity, real. That beautiful moment that you look for in the studio that works so well in games. I remember I was talking to one of the writers for Knights of Honor 2, which is a few years ago I worked on it, and we're working on with loads of soldiers, recording people, kind of you click here, they march there, and then they say a line. And he was just like, you know what we want is just some individual lines, those ones that will just jump out of the computer for people, and they'll be the ones that people remember, whether it just makes them smile.
Okay.
I remember I used to play Red Alert 2, and there was just, you'd click on the troops to go somewhere, I'd say, "The Maharaja," every time you move them, and that's just stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, we want moments like that where someone will be doing something else, and then suddenly this line will pop into their head from this game they loved playing a few years ago. So having like a moment like that with Tim, which just for us was the funniest moment, and then just translates in game and something that the community then find hilarious and quote a meme.
It stood out to me too. I've known him a very long time, pretty much my entire acting career and before. So there was something very grounded and real about it. I did ask him. I said, "Where did that come from?" And he was imagining telling his own child off, and it's like, "Oh, that reads." That's angry dad Gale, that is. And it was just
absolutely.
And I remember this scene. I think Carlack's quite go on then, give me a laugh. That's "Do I Smell Beef?" That's where that one comes. If she licks the spider, she's hallucinating. And then others are pretty sensible about it, you know, or find it funny. And he's the only one who's like, today, contemporary, 2025, this is what you would say to your friend who won't stop doing the dumb thing. So it was just beautiful. And in that one line, just nailed it. Absolutely.
And that was all Tim. And it was just because we found it so funny. I was like, okay, it's going in. We're going to get one for safety, but that one's going in.
One, good job.
It stuck. But
he writes it on his autographs a lot. I see it when we do a group thing. Really? I see it. Yeah. Oh, that is the iconic. And I think absolutely, Tim, that's the one.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So magical moments like that where people find it memorable and quote it. Just love that about being creative.
And it's such a texturally rich, densely rich piece like Baldur's Gate 3. That must be very satisfying.
Yeah, and like there was so much that happened in Baldur's Gate that I'm proud of. There was moments of working with Hope in the House of Hope with Raphael, reading her script, and like some of it was lowercase, lots of it is just cap locks. I was like, I need a call with the writer.
Yeah.
And I spoke with the writer, and I was like, okay, you've obviously got something in mind. What is that? What do I need to translate to the actor? And it was this beautiful moment which he basically, this Hope has been tortured for so long that basically it comes out in almost a form of Tourette's, this emotional, dark moment for her. It's just her peaks of insanity sometimes coming through the veil. And I worked with Aileen Groves McKeown, I think that's how you pronounce it, the actress. Worked with her for about 20 minutes, I think it was, at the start of the session. I was like, okay, we've got this now. I think we're both in the same headspace. Let's go. And we just rattled through the script,
Nice.
and she did a beautiful job.
Yes, she did.
And it came out so well in the game. It's just something that then it sounds great in the booth, but sometimes doesn't always translate into the game, and something just that did work so well in the game. It's just a moment that I felt so proud of, and just everyone who worked on that was brilliant. Yeah.
Well said. I agree. Well, we're going to move on to audience questions for you. I tried to put them in some sort of order, but actually, considering this first one is about BG3, I've done it well. So Admo asks, how did the BG3 team navigate the illness that shan't be named back in 2020?
I was like, what ill?
What happened in 2020?
What? It was a crazy time. And thankfully video games just didn't skip a beat, because we were just able to adapt immediately. But at a call one day and they said, don't come in tomorrow. We're not going to record. We're going to work out what's happening. Talk to Larian, who were the main game we're obviously working on at the time. And basically the call went out to agents and actors, like, who's got a home studio? How can we adapt? We've still got content we can record. It's not going to be motion capture, but we've got other things. There's what we call emotes. So all of you click and they say, by the way then, all these little lines where they just it's feedback for the player basically when they make a decision. And I just remember, was it that? April, I think it was April, in those few months, we were just going through all the spells, of the,
because you didn't need mocap for those,
spells,
right?
Yeah, exactly, and all of the emotes, swinging your sword, sending off a spell, and being hit by a sword, being hit by this spell, like all the different ways you can die in Baldur's Gate. There's a lot.
Correct. That's right.
And depending on how the player wants to play the game, like every NPC that you fight, they've got to voice them all.
Reacting to other people dying. I remember that. Reacting to them if you romance them or if you didn't really like them. Like all of that. Yeah, it's all coming back now. I remember because by the time I come in, like we were back in studios. So it would be, if we had time at the end of priors, then we go, right, spells. I just remember like
just the last
week
half
or
an
two.
hour. Okay,
yeah,
we're going to have you
half
shouting. Yeah.
Fine.
I remember I was working with, it might have been Josh Witchard actually. And like most actors had basically made some sort of VO booth in their shed, under the stairs, some sort of pillow fort in their bedroom. And I was working with Josh, and he was doing death emotes, I think it was. I was like, okay, now you're burning to death. Now you're freezing to death. Now you're dying of old age. Now you're doing this and that. And there was just suddenly a knock on the door, and he's like, oh, just 1 second. Someone's knocking on the door. Let me just... And he's gone for about 15 minutes. And he finally came back. He's like, never guess what? That's the police. My neighbours have called the police because they thought
they care.
All the screaming and everything.
They care.
Something might have been going down. I was like, oh my God! Wow.
I'm going to offer a counterpoint. I was doing Total War Troy at home during the pandemic, and because it's so shouty, no matter how much we have a baffle around things, but my partner's a guitarist, right, musician. Guitars on every surface, and there's a mirror. We're allowed a mirror, so everything is bouncing. You know, if I hit the right note, of course the string will vibrate in sympathy, right? That's what we're hearing. Everything. So heatwave, blanket over the head in a studio, dying in there. I was screaming for about 2 hours. No one came. That would be the perfect crime. If he wanted to murder me, he'd be fine.
Just during a pandemic, she's an actor. It's fine.
As I guess if I keep changing what I say as I'm being murdered, I have a chance. But I guess I was saying the same thing over and over again a few times, which they weren't. And maybe shouting onward or release the javelins. Maybe okay, I get it now. Yeah, maybe it was that.
Must be some sort of role play they're doing.
We've told them before. We've gone, if you hear screaming, don't come. We're just doing a game, and it's until if he does kill, it's the perfect crime.
Yeah. But like from like then
But
onwards,
his
I was
neighbours
asking a few
cared,
actors
so
to put a sign on the door saying, just let your neighbours know.
yeah. Can't tell you what it is, but a big role-playing fantasy game in which I will die in every way for hours and hours at a time. Thank you very much.
But yeah, with the pandemic, we recorded what we could that didn't require mocap for the best part of a year, I guess, with different actors, and then tentatively moving back into the studio, which would be a skeleton crew of a sound engineer, mocap engineer, and the actor in the booth, in the volume, with as kind of distant as little contact as possible. So like the actor would arrive and we're like, great, your suit's over there, it's ready. They would get suited up, and I would be me and the performance director would be dialing in remotely, just over Zoom, in fact, exactly like this, recording the sessions.
How quickly did you get used to that? That must have been quite weird to not be in the same, to not have the eye contact with folks.
It's, there's just a level of communication that's lost there slightly. Like I think they had like the pictures of us in the top corner kind of thing, but I'd always turn my camera off because you don't want me kind of going in the corner.
It can be a distraction if you think director's disapproving.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I was going to say, and sometimes it's just me trying to, get to grips with the content, or maybe just me, as I'm reading kind of the script, I emote it as well, even though I'm just reading it, and me pulling faces. I was like, it's not because of your performance. I'm just doing a thing. But yeah, and it took some getting used to, but it's also quite nice because then I can be at home with like several screens of all the different information, the dialogue trees that were so important.
You don't have to sell working from home to me. I'm a big fan.
Turning up in pajamas is great.
Okay, I've got another question for you. Miss Celia Faywild asks, what's the biggest challenge for a video game director?
I guess it's communicating the vision of the game, making sure that the tone is correct. If you're working on gritty drama of a narrative, you don't want anything to come across too cartoony or hammy. And exactly on the opposite side of things, you have something a little bit more lighthearted that actually sometimes some of the lines are a bit tongue-in-cheek, or just there's more fun in the characters, be it in high fantasy. You don't want something that has a very flat, dark performance in it, because it might not read well compared to especially other characters, the tone of the game itself. So I guess making sure that comes across for the actors, kind of establishing that early, so then you can run during the session. What was the question? What's the most difficult?
Most challenging. What's the biggest challenge? Biggest challenge. Yeah.
I guess, kind of translating the vision of the game and managing the actor as well, managing your vocal health, energy levels, because with a script, you're not potentially always doing scenes. It might be, okay, and now you've just found a dead body and this is kind of dark and brooding, and now this hilarious thing has happened and you're reacting to someone having tripped over, and then it goes back to, and you're jumping back and forth almost like acting gymnastics, exercises for actors, and making sure that there's a consistency through it all for characters that they're playing, but the tone that needs to be set and the levels, the energy that needs to be reached.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Now, because you're a director, there are a couple of questions from actors. I can only apologise. I think they should be quite easy to answer. Trev Fleming, actor voice, sorry. What's your policy regarding actors sending show reels?
Send me show reels. You'll find my details on like my websites, or sometimes my socials. Send me an email. Don't always expect me to reply. I will see it and I will put it in a folder for when I'm looking for things. I might make a note sometimes for when I am casting for things, and I'll often dive into those folders when I am casting for any kind of project, not just games, but ELT, which is English language teaching, or maybe a voiceover for a commercial, all require very different skills, very different voices, and people of different backgrounds as well. So it's nice to dive into these and say, hey, you know how you emailed me 2 years ago? Could you send me just a little read of this so I can get an audition from you? So yeah, please feel free to get in contact. I'll try and reply. Sometimes I'm just very busy and I don't get a chance to, but yeah, always up for receiving tapes.
Amazing. So to follow on from that, Loza Gilbert asks, when casting for games, what makes a gaming reel stand out to you? Oh, and I must jump in. American friend was like, do they mean demo? And I was like, no, British say reel, like a show reel. So just to make sure it's both.
I mean, it depends on the project, what I'm casting for. I'm listening for different things. Ultimately, it's just good acting. Whether that be a more heightened performance of an energetic wizard or something, as I've said before, more gritty and dramatic, more cinematic performance. We're just looking for good acting. It's finding that authenticity in any performance. Sometimes I'm looking for a certain voice tone, a performance, which will be more drawing from you personally. So Sam, I'd bring you in because I'm looking for someone has that kind of attitude and vocal timbre. And sometimes I'm looking for someone who might be able to give me 20 different voices.
A voice actor. I keep saying I'm not one for that reason.
Yeah, with maybe a selection of accents potentially for a few lines here and there. Like ultimately, I found a lot of the projects I'm working on at the moment, we're looking for the actor's personality to come through in the performance. Sometimes when you're dealing with scripts, it will be just one character, a specific character with a description. And sometimes regarding NPCs, it will be we're looking for people to kind of fill the background, have some chatter. And in that case, we'll be looking more at the actor themselves and the personality they have, and looking for them to bring their take of things into the lines. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a really great answer.
It's looking for anything at all.
But it's good because some people will give you exactly X, Y, and Z, but this is like to go, actually, your interpretation matters. I think a lot of mistakes I made early on was to second guess. And of course, if we all guess the same thing, it's all the same performance. So what I do now is my weird wild card brain version, and then I'll give a version of what I think they might want. But if I've got something completely different going on, why not throw that in the mix? Especially if it's very different to what I think they might want, because you're showing range.
Yeah, I mean, I was casting for something last year and trawling through Spotlight and agents' websites, and rather than actually listening to their video game reel because of the nature of the game, I was actually listening to their audiobook reels because I wanted to hear what their voice sounded like, not what they could put on, but what they sounded like, their natural accent, if their ethnicity comes through, their history, their family history comes through in their accents and the tone of their voice. Yeah. So I was actually listening for how they sound rather than
That's great. I mean, God, things have changed in the last few years. 6-7 years ago, this was not the case. You just have to be a bit of a powerhouse of accents that you have no connection to. If you can just do them all, you've got the job. Or you would do something that is appropriate, and then right at the end they tack something on that isn't, maybe. And nowadays we actually try and find that person, and I think it's great. I think we should all get a stab at this.
Yeah, well, I think it's very much
people getting all the work.
From the point you made earlier, which was about how narrative games are becoming bigger and becoming more cinematic, is as the technology grows, they're able to make more game. They're able to add more to it. They can add more sound files. They can have all of these branching narratives. Something you do early on in the games now affect what happens later on, which was never the case when 10 years ago, 20 years ago for some genres. So now that we're able to include more and have more, now the characters that we have are given longer narratives. We're not just meeting everyone for their 3 lines in the village and then they walk away. Now we can stop, we can talk to them, we can find out what they're interested in. They can send us on side quests. We come back to them a few hours later and build a rapport with these NPCs.
It's very true.
Just what games are becoming, the cinematic and narrative experience has changed so much.
That's a great way to end this interview. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the village. It's super cozy. You pretty much know everyone who's in here anyway. So where can we find you before we go? Social media, websites, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've got my professional portfolio website, which has my email and things, which is adrianaudio.com. And I guess I need to work out my socials because now Twitter's X has died a death for me.
Yes.
And I've gone on to Blue Sky and things, but I'm not really active on it at the moment.
Don't worry, no one else came with us. They said, we're abandoning X. And you look behind you, there's no one there. They didn't come over, but there we go. So I've moved over to Instagram personally. It seems a bit friendlier and I just post new stuff, new games on it. Go look at these. So what we'll do is if you want to get back to us with that, a comprehensive list, we'll put it in the notes for the show and people can find you there.
Mainly my LinkedIn, I think, as the other one.
Awesome. All right, we'll do that. And I'm guessing that's under Adrian Townsend, obviously.
Yes.
Yes, great. And anything you're able to promote or maybe something we didn't touch on that you'd like to just give a shout out to?
Not really. Like I said, it's annoying. Everything I've been working on for 2.5 years, I can't talk about really.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to have your insight. Sometimes you meet someone from a certain discipline and you go, oh, well, I totally understand that area now. And that's not true. Everyone has been so very different. But what we have in common is that we love to collaborate and co-advocate and just try and make a little happy space for us on this planet. So thank you for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. No, it's been a lot of fun.
All right. So catch us next time in It Takes a Village. I've got no idea who's on next. We're doing this out of order. See you next time.